Today I'm breaking down my 5 favorite late round handcuff running backs who are currently available outside the top 150 picks over at ESPN and Sleeper. These are guys who are one injury away from being on the cover of every single waiver wire article in the fantasy football industry, and accordingly make for fantastic bench stashes on your fantasy squads of all shapes and sizes. So let's get after it. Up first, we have Eagles RB2 Tank Bigsby, who, don't look now, guys, has kind of been one of the better running backs in the league over the past 2 seasons. If we want to use some of these advanced stats that, again, try to paint RB performance independent of their offensive line and scheme. So not even using all that small of a sample size, 44 running backs have at least 200 rush attempts over the past 2 seasons. And hey, Bigsby, RB1, yards after contact per carry, RB2, tackles avoided per carry, RB5, an explosive rush rate, and Jacksonville and Philly alike, Tank really did make the most out of his opportunities on the ground, which is important because this is not someone we should be expecting to catch the football a lot. That's not really a big part of the Eagles offense to begin with, and I would expect Will Shipley to be, again, garnering a lot of those pass down opportunities in the potential absence of Saquon Barkley. But hey, speaking of that Eagles offense, should be a lot better than last year. I'm not trying to be the guy who says every single offense with a new play caller is going to take a leap forward. It's July. Everyone's got their rose-colored glasses on. I get it, but come on, like all my Eagles fans out there watching, thank you, by the way. But you guys know, I mean, the bar for the Kevin Patullo experience is so freaking low for Sean Mannion to pass. And even if the scheme isn't all that much better because maybe Jalen Hurts has too big of a say in what they want to be doing out there, should at a minimum be a healthier, improved offensive line, which was a big reason why we saw Saquon Barkley and before him DeAndre Swift and before him Miles Sanders do really good things for us in fantasy land. So again, don't want to wish an injury on anyone, but God forbid Saquon Barkley, who's going to be hitting the big 3-0 in 2027 and also is coming off still 346 touches in 2025 after the even more monstrous workload in 2024. Again, it's a situation where if we did see a world where Saquon Barkley was out of the picture, it would be very difficult not to rank Tank Bigsby as an immediate top 15 running back in fantasy land. Up next, we have Browns RB2 Dylan Sampson, who, no, you probably didn't think had that amazing of a rookie season, and he didn't from a counting number perspective, but you do peel back the curtain a little bit and look what this guy was doing as a pass catcher, and that's where we can really be getting excited, particularly in full PPR formats. So guys, Dylan Sampson last year, not even the smallest sample, okay? 27 running backs had at least 40 targets. We're talking about RB1 in yards per route run, RB1 in targets per route run, top 7 numbers in yards per target and passer rating when targeted too, if you're not so much into the per route thing. So again, very, very good stuff as a pass catcher and perhaps untapped upside on the ground as well. We are talking about the man who led the entire SEC in rushing yards back in 2024 after all. So Sampson's not a huge guy or anything, but he's also kind of rocked up a little bit, all right? 5'8", 200 pounds, that is a 61st percentile BMI. We're not talking about like some 170-pound scat back here, okay? So no, I don't think Quinshon Judkins is going to be taking a back seat or losing his job, but it is coming back from a pretty freaking brutal, fractured fibula, dislocated ankle combo, and it has been mixed results seeing guys again re-reach their previous performance, even if they have been able to get back to the field relatively soon following that injury. So new scheme with Todd Monken, offense only has room to go up, from a scoring perspective. I do think Sampson is someone who really profiles as a cheaper version of Tajay Spears and Kenneth Gainwell with arguably more pure handcuff upside considering what he can do on the ground. So Dylan Sampson for me, prime pick in the later rounds, again, particularly in leagues that are giving you a full point per reception. Next up, I got Packers hopeful RB2. I can't believe I'm doing this again. MarShawn Lloyd, please don't turn off the video just yet. Hear me out, guys, all right? He's still only 25 years old. I know we've got freaking 10 regular season offensive snaps to go out of, but the man was comped to my boy Duke Johnson from the great Dane Brugler for a reason. This is someone capable of running between the tackles with the sort of explosive pass catching upside that we want to be targeting in our backup running backs. And hey guys, who's to say he couldn't be a more of a 1B situation if he's actually healthy enough to be on the field for a change? When we do look back at Matt LaFleur's history, from Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry, from Jamal Williams and AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, and even more recently, Emmanuel Wilson Sampson and Josh Jacobs, he has been more willing to feature two running backs in the offense than I think a lot of people will give him credit for, because we've seen Josh Jacobs more so be the guy in recent years. And don't get it twisted, as long as the legal stuff for Josh Jacobs shakes out okay, I don't think Lloyd's coming for his job or he's going to inhibit Jacobs or anything, but those ongoing legal issues do matter, and that's why Josh Jacobs' price has been dropping in fantasy land. It is curious to me that MarShawn Lloyd and yes, their other running back Chris Brooks have remained basically free at the end of drafts of most shapes and sizes. So at the end of the day, Lloyd is one of these guys where a lot of people are just going to balk at it and say he's just going to get hurt, and maybe he will, but I will say, you look at the injury history, it's not like we're coming back from some brutal fractured leg or, a torn hamstring off the bone, or a situation where we have multiple, CL tears going on in the knee. It's just been one annoying, very, very annoying injury after another. God forbid some of this offseason work he's been putting in to stay and remain healthy so far actually comes true. I do think MarShawn Lloyd could be looking good, guys, as the clear-cut number 2, but prime handcuff for Josh Jacobs, who's starting to get a little bit up there in age, and a Packers offense that we unanimously love. So again, if he gets injured, I apologize, and you're going to have to cut him. But as a literal last-round pick, guys, I do think there is a lot going right for Lloyd, and it kind of comes back to the Christian McCaffrey question that we ask every single season. Not to compare Lloyd to Christian McCaffrey. Please, for the love of God, do not quote me on that. But the question is always, what if he gets injured? Well, for MarShawn Lloyd, what if he doesn't? Next up, want to talk about Raiders RB2, Mike Washington Jr., guys. So yes, Clint Kubiak in town. It's going to be the Ashton Jeanty show. We should all be hyped about that. God forbid, though, Ashton Jeanty, maybe he wins the lottery, decides to take the season off. I don't like saying guys are going to get injured. I feel like that's bad voodoo. So if Jeanty misses a game for any reason, it sure looks like it's going to be the Arkansas product, guys, that steps up and takes the majority of this workload. Dylan Labe is the only other running back really of consequence on this roster. We got Roman Hemby as well, did some okay things at Indiana, undrafted for a reason. And again, Labe has been more so just a special team, somewhat of a pass down back during his 2 seasons in the league. So the pros for Washington is that he is a freaky athlete, guys, in a league full of them, okay? We can actually see this through relative athletic score, which sometimes has its faults, all right? I don't like how some running backs don't do the short area testing, and that just doesn't even factor into their score. So we have these ridiculously high scores, but incomplete profiles. In Mike Washington Jr.'s case, though, he actually did do all the testing, and guys, for a metric that goes all the way back to 1986, somehow came out with the 28th best relative athletic score. And hey, it's running backs, all right? I have the Christine Michael skeletons in my closet as well. I'm not saying just because you're big and fast is going to make you a great running back or anything, but he did go in the SEC and make some good stuff happen, guys. 6.4 yards per pop. Him and Taylon Green formed a really freaking dynamic backfield there. 100 plus rushing yards against Tennessee, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Texas last season. So again, in no way, shape, or form do I think Washington is coming for Jeanty's job. But hey, Kubiak did spend last season splitting stuff up between Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. It's not impossible. It's very unlikely, but purely for the handcuff upside, that's where we're getting excited about this, okay? So we're going to see guys like Brian Robinson and Tyler Algier going rounds and rounds ahead of Mike Washington Jr., when in reality, I think you could actually make an argument that in a Raiders offense that improved the offensive line, and that should be better off from a schematic standpoint with Clint Kubiak in charge. If we actually saw Bijan Robinson, Jeremiah Love, and Ashton Jeanty all rolled out of the equation, maybe Mike Washington Jr. would be ranked ahead of Brian Robinson and Tyler Algier. Something to think about when, again, we see such a stark difference in their prices. So, no, Mike Washington, not worth the early, mid, or even late round pick, but all capital late round pick. That's where I can get a little bit more excited about the rookie ahead of 2026. And last but not least, I'm going with Bills running back Ray Davis as one of the priority handcuffs to try to keep on the end of your fantasy bench this season. Now, Ray Davis, it's not as clean of a picture as I think some people have made it out to be, okay? Because we all go back to 2024. There was one game on Monday night where James Cook missed it. That's the only evidence that we have that Ray Davis is the clear-cut backup here. But man, he sure was in that game, guys. 27 total combined carries and targets between Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, and we saw Ray get 23 of those, all right? So I'm still pissed because we had the pregame reports about Ty Johnson being first in line. He actually did get the start, ripped off like a 9-yard run. run, and then guess what? They just went back to Ray the entire time. Can you guys tell I might have made the wrong start sit decision 2 years ago, and it still pisses me off. But again, all that aside, that's our most relevant sample, and it is one game, but that one game certainly was in favor of Ray Davis. It's a Bills offense that's been top 6 in scoring every single year since 2020. Last season, Bills RBs were number 1 in terms of yards before contact per carry. We could not ask for a better offensive environment to get a fantasy-friendly running back in. So that's certainly going in Ray Davis's favor, and accordingly, God forbid something did happen to James Cook, he would be the recommended add. The reason why I listened to him last, though, and the reason why I would prefer the other guys we talked about already over Ray Davis, we saw a shift last season, all right? In 2024, it was Ray Davis with 113 carries with 19 targets. Ty Johnson, easily the number 3 running back, 41 carries and 25 targets. That split changed last season, though, in a pretty meaningful way, all right? Davis had 58 carries compared to 50 for Ty Johnson. Davis had 13 targets compared to 33 for Ty Johnson. Maybe it was just Ray getting more kick return work, and it was Ty Johnson playing a little bit better, and things would go back to that one-game sample if we saw Cook miss time in 2026 again. But it was interesting to me that Ty Johnson had 6 carries inside the 5-yard line and Ray Davis just had 2. Not because I think Ty Johnson would be like the short yardage back, over Ray Davis without Cook in the picture, but I do think it shows that the Bills don't necessarily view Ty Johnson as this scat back only player. It could err on a little bit more of the 50-50 wavelength between these two in a larger sample. That said, if it is going to be 50-50, 50% of the Bills' offensive production could be worth, more than 75% elsewhere. So all things considered at the cost, tough not to be liking Ray Davis as the most likely potential handcuff for one James Cook. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Reminder, I was going outside the top 150 on ESPN and Sleeper. So the Blake Corums, the Kyle Manung guys, even the Jonathan Brooks, they just didn't qualify because of that, okay? So I certainly do have those guys ranked higher than the dudes we were just talking about. So please prioritize them if you happen to be in your drafts and they fall down into that range as well. You guys can actually check out a full article I have over at rotowire.com on every single handcuff and a tier format if you want more information on, again, the entire sort of backup position as a whole. But fun time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit me in the comments with any other guys, again, with an ADP outside the top 150 that you think I might have missed. Any comments or concerns as well, always welcome. So if you like the video, please like the video. Hitting that subscribe button always does help us out as well. So in the meantime, guys, have a freaking great rest of your day, and let's win some fantasy football championships this year.